Fine, I'll admit it, you were right. So, in one of my earlier Gelli Fields devlogs, I created a new system to destroy unwanted obstacles that you previously couldn't get rid of. And I messed up. The video itself didn't mess up. I mean, it got 12,000 views, so I'm pretty happy for that, thank you. But I did mess up in the game. In Gelli Fields, you're tasked with fixing various train stations across many biomes by using a variety of gathered goods with the power of magic. When the world first starts, and whenever a new day passes, objects like trees, grass, and rocks spawn, which can pretty quickly start overtaking the biome, which gives you less space to plant things in. So I came up with the idea of adding tools into the game, and originally they were going to be a one-time use item that you could buy at the shop, but I just ended up scrapping that idea. Instead, I created the tool stand mechanic. In each biome, there was a stand with various tools on it that could be dragged to certain obstacles and broken, giving you some items in return. Originally, you could use these tools infinitely, but that was a balanced nightmare because the second you started the game, all you had to do was chop down all the stuff and break everything, and then you could sell all of it for just a bunch of money right off the bat. So instead, I made it so that whenever you use a tool, it would go on cooldown so that it was a little bit more balanced. At the same time, I was looking for reasons to make leveling up in the game actually have an impact, because at the time all leveling up did was just give you a present that contained a random item. This led me to make it so that every time you level up, the cooldown for using a tool got shorter, and I was pretty happy with this system. This system is one of those times where an idea sounds great on paper, but once you actually implement it, it just doesn't make any sense. One of the most annoying parts was having to drag the tool all the way from the tool stand to what you wanted to break, and if you missed it, you need to bring it back over again. There was also no way to know the tools were on cooldown from far away, and after uploading the devlog, I saw a lot of comments pointing out these issues, and before you comment right now that I should just put the tools on the UI, I'm actually avoiding things like that in Gelli Fields because it just doesn't feel as good, it doesn't help the overall feeling, and it doesn't make you feel as invested, and it doesn't make you feel like you're in the world, if that makes any sense. But I kept this system in the game for a little bit longer until I ran into another issue with the game, and that was balance. This isn't very related to the topic that I was talking about, but speaking of balance, one thing that I had to balance recently was my anger over the fact that my phone just randomly decided to die on me. I didn't drop it, there was no water damage, it just decided to just die. To be fair, I had used it for several hours every single day for several years, so I think I kind of just wore it out. So I took this as an opportunity to think about my business, and I decided to switch from Apple to Android because it is much cheaper and easier to develop Android games, and I had promised everyone that if there was ever a point to where I needed a new phone, I would get an Android phone so that I can make mobile games. I decided to go with the Pixel 6 Pro because it was quite cheap and also a very good looking phone, and also apparently Pixel phones have very good cameras. I can confirm that. But I got the phone and I was very excited to have the phone, and I'm very, very happy that I do have the phone. I'm just gonna have to make a bunch of videos to make up for the money that I spent on a new phone, so let's hope this video does well. The game had a major money issue because there was nothing large to purchase, and essentially everything you bought just ended up with you gaining more than you spent. And I was trying to figure out any way I could to have the player spend money without getting their monies back in return. The idea that I ended up thinking of was making so that instead of tools relying on the cooldown, they would just cost money to use instead. This would also make it so that you didn't ever have to wait to use a tool. If you had the money, then you could just use it right then and there. This system still ended up feeling bad though, because sometimes you drag a tool to a tree or a rock and you wouldn't have enough money, and it wasn't easy to understand what happened. And sometimes you'd accidentally break the wrong thing and just end up wasting your money. So my giga-brain solution was to remove the tool stands completely and instead make it so that when you hover over something that requires a tool, you can see the price required to break it, and all you have to do is click it. This system worked great, but since your coins are just... your corns. But since your coins were displayed on the sell box, there was no way to know if you had enough money to break something, so instead I moved the coins back to the UI, even though I had, that thing about things not being on the UI. I had to settle with this one because that's information you do need to see no matter where you are. I've jumped over here to Unity because I want to talk a little bit about how I determine the pricing for an individual thing. So you can see here that I can go into this small grass here, and it has this harvest placeable script, which is what manages the money side of things. It also manages just when you harvest it. I don't know why I said that. So if you look down here, you can actually see harvest price and minimum price. And how the system works is, remember how the old tool system had it so that whenever you leveled up that the cooldown would be reduced? Well, this actually has a system where every time that you level up, the price to harvest is actually reduced by a certain amount. And I discovered that sometimes when you have something that doesn't require much money to break, for example, this small grass, it only requires 5. When you would get to a certain level, this would just go down to 0, and then you could just harvest it immediately without having to pay anything, and I didn't really like that. So I implemented this minimum price. So basically this can never go under 3. So 3 is the cheapest that it'll ever cost for you to have to remove this. The system actually works out so well because it fixes the issues with the previous tool system, and it works great to help keep coins more balanced. You may be thinking that it shouldn't mess with the balance if you just never break anything, but since things grow every single day, you'll start to run out of space. And also, the biomes often require items that are either very expensive in the shop or only able to be obtained from things like rocks and trees, so you do end up removing them a lot. If you enjoyed this video or you think this game looks interesting, please consider subscribing to my channel, and also if you want to help out supporting my channel in a bigger way, you can check out the join button or the link in the description to become a member. You can become a member for as low as $2 a month, and you get to see all my videos early, and there's also some exclusive stuff that you can only see for being a member.